just going to check. Hello, hello, hello. Is this working? Can you hear me? Yeah. So this is Talkaoke. Come and take a seat. Come and get involved. My name's Mikey. If you don't know Talkaoke, it's just about talking into this microphone about whatever you want to talk about. It's kind of up to you. We have no idea what people are going to talk about tonight. It could be anything. It looks like you've got some notes there. No? Okay. As I said, my name's Mikey. We've got some people out there. They're going to come in. Let's get some names around the table. Tell us your name.
Kim.
Kim, welcome. I'm going to hit you with a round of applause. Which way around is this? This way? Okay. Tell us your name.
Sunny.
Sally?
Sunny.
Sally?
Sunny day. Sunny.
Sunny?
Sunny.
Oh, Sunny. Oh, Sunny. Yeah.
Justin.
Justin?
Brian.
Brian. That round of applause is for all three of you. Oops. We've got Brian that's learning the sound effects, so, you know. Yes. We've got like a balloon release that's going on over there, if anyone was wondering what's happening over there. I think that is the... You can sit on any of the chairs. It's up to you. Oh, okay. Tell us your name.
Sophie.
Sophie. Okay, let's hit you with a round of applause. Now, this could be... And who have we got coming forward here? Tell us your name.
Oh, Martin.
Martin, I'm here with a round of applause. What's your name?
Hello, I'm Margot.
Margot. I knew that. Everyone knew that I knew that as well. But anyway, it's not important. Yeah, so the way this works is kind of up to you to decide what you want to talk about. It could be absolutely anything. It's really up to you. There's hundreds of plugs over there. Has anyone got anything they want to kick off with? Any thoughts, comments, suggestions, ideas? Justin?
Signalgate. If those were not war plans, what are war plans?
Oh, you're talking about the...
Signal.
The thing that happened on Signal.
Yeah, I mean, those are war plans by any... I mean, I learnt a lot about war plans by looking at those messages.
Okay. Can you just explain... I don't know if everyone knows about this. Can you just explain what happens to those that don't know?
A journalist was inadvertently admitted into a top-secret intelligence community messaging group in which they were discussing a strike on Houthi positions in Yemen. Yeah. And when this was exposed, they claimed that these were not classified messages, but they obviously were. Now we've had this 25% tariffs thing, and that to me is a distracting tactic. That's just been thrown in there to throw our minds off Signalgate. What do other people think?
Okay, I'm going to turn that down actually, it's a bit loud. Got a new face?
It's Akbal.
Akbal, we've got Sophie, we've got Kim, we've got Martin, we've got Sunny, we've got Justin, we've got Brian, and Mikey, and now we're talking about the Signal. There was basically a group chat with some senior American people, and a journalist accidentally got included. It's so easy when you just, add people to the chat, isn't it? And he accidentally got added to the chat.
I mean, can I ask, is anybody on a WhatsApp group chat and they're actually enjoying it, or they're checking it, or, because I'm on several. In fact, I'm notorious for starting more and more groups because I think it's a good idea. Mikey knows, he's in many of them, and they're all on mute. So I just wonder, is anybody on a chat group which they check and it's useful to you, or is it just another noise source?
Yeah. Okay, anyone on the group chat, has anyone heard anything they shouldn't have heard on the group chat, like let's bomb Yemen?
Oh, none of my group chats are remotely interesting. Yeah. And I'd like to be off a lot of them, but I'm on them anyway. I'm on committees and various other things.
So you don't want anyone to see Akbal left the group?
Yeah, it's a bit. Well, I'm on a group that we did a murder mystery thing, and I'm stuck on this stupid group, and I'm kind of thinking, if I leave it, how will people... Well, one of our friends organised a murder mystery evening.
If you leave it, people might think you were the murderer.
Well, maybe. But there is one of my other half's friends discovered that her husband was having an affair because of a WhatsApp group.
On a group chat?
Yeah.
How did that work out?
Well, basically, he added his mistress to the group chat because I assume she's got the same name as somebody else. So it all came out and
your excrement hit the cooling device.
it was
The group chats
anyway.
can be quite dangerous.
Yeah.
It's not just Donald Trump that needs to worry about group chats.
He's not on one. He wasn't on it.
He wasn't on it. Okay, yeah. All right. Any thoughts, Martin? I know you're just saying hello to this person here. Tell us your name.
My rank and serial number.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Hello, I'm Ian, and I am an alcoholic. I'm not really given half a chance.
Yeah. Ian, so we've got Brian, we've got Justin, we've got Sonny, we've got Martin, we've got Kim, we've got Sophie, we have got Akbar, we've got Margot on the snacks, and me, Mikey. At the moment we're talking about the Signal group chat of the generals and military planners, and accidentally included in the journalists. But we're just talking about group chats in general. Are they actually useful? Is it just a place of danger where you just get added? And Akbar's just talking about a friend of a friend, honestly, that got found out that they were cheating because the mistress got added to the group chat. So it's a very dangerous, it's a dangerous territory. Yeah.
I think any internet stage that you go onto, you have to go onto it with a pinch of salt. You have to realise that the world is full of people that are not very nice and that don't share your particular view, and it's a safe place to actually engage with these people. I'm a member of some really dodgy organisations on Facebook because I like to see what my enemy is saying. Like sometimes I even read The Sun just to see what's going about the information, and I find myself using words like "really" and "do you really think that?" I'm due back on planet Earth, sort of stuff, So I think as long as you take it with a pinch of salt, and you're able to take criticism and not let it enter your self-belief, then it's important to. Otherwise, you just live in a bubble. That's the danger. Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's, I know, I can't find it, I know. But anyway, there is a sound effect bubble, trust me. Right. Go on.
Okay. So I'm on some WhatsApp groups. One for knitting, where everybody shares all different patterns and all kinds of wonderful things, and then other people have started adding some funny things to it.
Has there been any accidental inclusion of crocheters by accident?
Oh, there have been, but it's all right, it's all right. And then I'm on the singing WhatsApp group, and everyone's kind of like adds little things to it, and I think they forget they're on WhatsApp and they're having like private conversations, but join. So nothing too, excluding really, but fun. But it is a bit tiring because unless you have the volume off, it is dinging quite a lot. The phone.
So there's a lot of all the time.
Yeah.
Basically. So there's a lot of, okay. Yeah.
I think it's very interesting. If I know somebody and they come out with something that's not actually racist or too bad, but you think there's something quite wrong with that, and then you follow the link back and it goes back to places like the ELD or whatever it was, or worse. That's the one, the BBC, that's the one. But you'll find that a lot of these things are put out conversely, and it's like, I believe that British people should be looked after. And then it goes on, when it goes back, it was originally, I think British people should be looked after, not the bloody immigrants. And then you go back further still, and it's derived from a really dodgy place. So I think as long as you know where these things are coming from, I mean, you only have to read Trump stuff, don't you? Apparently you're going to bomb the Houthis. I don't know what's going on there. I got a message the other day.
This all came up because
I got a message this morning. Nobody told me.
All right, you included in the group chat as
well? I was a bit late for it.
Yeah, but you were just ignoring it. You were just muting it, so you didn't know.
You don't need a leak to tell you that they've been bombing Yemen, do they? You know, even though they've been trying to keep that out of the general consciousness for many, many years since it started by publicising other wars and much more. You know, they've been bombing Yemen since Obama's administration.
Yeah, so it's been happening a lot.
Yeah, so in that in itself, is this leak or a real distraction from something even bigger?
Okay. What is the distraction? What is the truth? Justin, I'll come back to you. You started this all off in the first place.
I didn't quite follow you there, Brian. To me, it's the fact that the plans were leaked 4 days before the actual attack, and they mirrored the actual attack. So, and they're claiming that's not classified information. How can they possibly claim that?
So did the journalist sort of mention that he was on the group chat after they did the attack, or did he mention it before?
Yeah, I believe it came out afterwards. Yeah, it came out afterwards. But he,
because he thought it might actually be even more dangerous to announce it before the planned attack.
That's a tricky situation to be in. Now I feel much more justified to mute all of my group chats, because that's putting this guy in a very difficult ethical situation, isn't it?
I think it would only have been more dangerous for Americans, not necessarily Yemeni civilians. So it's where you put your priorities, right?
I mean, that's the thing, so you might want to warn those Yemenis that there's an attack.
Yeah, and the Americans do have a history of being fairly indiscriminate in terms of killing people.
Yeah.
But what was quite interesting about the discussion was actually that there was some resistance to bombing the Yemen, the Houthis in Yemen, from Vance and the Secretary of Defence, or whatever it's called.
So you've actually read
Texas. Yeah, because they were concerned that the reason they're bombing them is to basically help out Europe. And they were fed up with bailing out Europe again.
Well, how does bombing the Yemenis help Europe?
Well, they're bombing ships in the Suez Canal.
Right.
Or they're attacking ships in the Suez Canal, most of which are travelling through Europe.
Right.
Now, some of them are going off to America as well, but most of the goods would have been arriving in Europe.
Right.
The Houthis have been targeting ships that are delivering stuff to Israel, though.
Right.
So it's interesting that there's so much animosity towards Europe amongst those.
Yeah.
Those, at least Vance, JD Vance. The others would just seem to have just been,
Let's just get on with it.
following along with him, supporting him to some degree.
So I was just, not everyone may be keeping up with this. So the Americans were bombing the Yemenis, because the Yemenis were bombing the ships in the Suez Canal, or going to the Suez Canal, going to Europe and Israel. And then the Americans were complaining that why did they have to bomb the ships? Not because they were killing people. No, why did they have to bomb the Yemenis? Not because they were killing people, but because they thought that Europeans should be bombing the Yemenis. Okay, right, I think I'm on top of it all. Yeah, go on.
Right, if talks break down after months, years, whatever, no one wants a war. No one ever goes, I want a war. Depends what news you watch, depends what, podcasts or whatever it is. Everyone's got their own take and opinions and things like that. What's wrong is wrong, and what's right is right. It's not rocket science. A Millwall fan could work it out. They've only got a brain cell between them. But there you go. Now, the problem is, with the different views, is so you have to agree to disagree at the beginning of anything anyway. Yeah. I have very strong views on all sorts of things, but it's backed up with facts, history and stuff like that. But people are not interested in history. Yeah. People won't keep their flare trousers for 30 years. Yeah. They'll go and get them by £120 pair because they won't keep them. Because 30 years later, they're going to come back in again. Right. It's as simple as that. History, you can't wipe history. Yeah. Okay. So shipping, targeting certain shipping, there are on these ships. They haven't just got Americans on them. They haven't just got British people on them. The ships now going around the globe have got a mixture of all different people who work on ships. If you hit a ship, and there's one person from Morocco, one person from Britain, one person from Italy, you're not attacking Britain. You're attacking all these people because countries need to sort themselves out. When there's 100,000 people dying in another country in, say Yemen or somewhere, where's the protests? Where's the marches? That's what I'm saying. So we've all got them views, but it's staying on the topic of not being judgmental, and all things like that with groups and that. You've got to stay away. It can become a vicious circle.
I mean, I don't think we know that much about we being in the UK know that much about what's happening in Yemen, and there's a war going on there. We seem to know much more about other wars. Margaret?
No, I'm just wondering whether, because I wonder if there are any links to to local matters, because I know there's all these like massive things happening, but here we are on Aberfeldy Street, and everybody's got their problems, their daily lives, their ambitions, their aspirations, their views on history, their views on information, media, on all sorts of things. And I just wondered, do people feel like any of this connects to their experience? Like what other types of news that you would like to see, maybe something that is not being spoken about, and I'm trying to link it to the Aberfeldy stories a bit, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah. But sometimes I feel overwhelmed with there's all these global things happening, but what's the relevance to me?
Is it linked to here? Yeah. Is it linked to what's going on here? All of these wars, all of this stuff, all of this news? I'll come to you in a second.
There's a proxy war going on in Yemen between the Saudis and the Iranians. They both supported a good old-fashioned Cold War tactic by the Americans and the Russians. They get people to fight on their behalf, and that's what's happening in Yemen. And the Houthis seem to be on the side of the Palestinians, and so they attack ships from the west. That's what they tend to do. I just want to point out one other thing that I'm dying to say is that the NATO thing and America, the dependence on America and America withdrawing from this. I'd love to be in this country if we told America to bugger off. Yeah. After the war, their power, it was all Pax Americana. They could walk in, once their army had walked in, their national companies and multinational companies were going afterwards, and the Western society has been dominated by American culture by so long. It's only the French that have resisted. So if we suddenly got an army or something that was actually worth its while, and we could turn around and say to the Americans,
we've actually just started to say to America,
I love it. I mean, America's put itself in the role of policeman of the world, but they did that, and they did that because they got a certain amount of power out of it. Now they're retreating from that. I look forward to de-Americanizing.
Yeah, okay. So we're talking about, is it about time we just told the Americans to go and do one, for one of a better words? Yep.
I think in many ways, Trump's kind of America First approach is going to achieve that, because the more he sort of pulls back, he's not pulling back. I mean, there are still bases in this country, there are bases in Germany. If he really wanted to pull back, he would. But he can't. And also, NATO is largely a kind of exercise to sell American weapons to Europe. And so it's not, I suspect...
Not Europeans freeloading as J.D. Vance.
Not really, because we're buying their shit. And we ought to be, right now, considering cancelling all of our orders for F-35s and so on throughout Europe. Portugal has, but we haven't. And we ought to consider it, because what's the point of having a weapon system that somebody else can switch off? Yeah. And you don't know if they're your enemy or your friend.
Okay. So, I don't think we've ever had such a geopolitical Talkaoke in all the 28 years of doing Talkaoke, but, we go in that direction, we go whatever direction you want to take it. Justin, sorry, I was going to give the mic to you.
No, I was just going to follow up on Martin. You're saying that no one wants war. Well, that's not. I wouldn't agree with that.
Yeah.
Lockheed Martin wants war. British Aerospace, they want war. They.
All the big arms companies
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to-
yeah.
And
And
what about ordinary people?
well, coming back to what you were saying, Margot, about how relevant is this to us, you know, in our daily lives. I mean, the fact of the matter is, you don't really know whether to turn the news on anymore because you're just so bombarded with this stuff. I mean, it's a deliberate ploy from the Trump administration. It's called flooding the zone. You just saturate the news media with stuff so that they don't have the time to respond to anything.
I mean, what is it trying to do? Is it trying to make everyone depressed?
I think it also when you're talking about all the political people, in my opinion, just pointless. It's all about the left and the right and all that stuff like that. And people live in bubbles and whatever. But we need to live in the real world. It does have an effect on the younger generation because they're carrying knives around. They're doing things because they're looking at things around the world. Yeah, it's all right, you can carry a knife and that. If you want to carry a knife, join the military, you get paid for it, see the world, learn, get educated, get disciplined, and know how to use a knife where you don't go around the streets and have vulnerable people. So it's all that left and right business which I take the notice of, and but it has an effect on this country, it has an effect on every country. Anyone who goes and does things like what they've done in the Far East, you know, in some of the stuff, my brother's, you know, military, and my family's been military, and I know a lot of people in the military.
I mean, are they feeling worried that they might be
not at all.
drawn into
Not at all.
Are they thinking,
No.
finally I get
Not
to
at
do
all.
a job?
Not at all, because, you know, as someone just rightly said there, America's got they've got the biggest start, you know, China have got obviously a big military and whatever, but they haven't got the knowledge. To win any war, any battle, any conversation, you need knowledge and consistency. You know, it'll take, I don't know, you go back to World War II, you've got, you know, X amount of millions of Germans with no intelligence. You've got half little units going in doing you know, stopping food, stopping fuel, you know, stopping, and then well, we can't got best tanks in the world and whatever, can't use them. There's no oil, so you got to stop. You cut off things. You don't just go and shoot people. You can just cut off things. Okay. You know, but yeah, as I say, it does have a detrimental effect on this country because the younger generation are suffering. The mental health of the next generation of children is more concerning and is alarming now. Yeah. Obviously, because you've got kids having kids. You know, you've got kids who've got no control of. Okay. You know, so yeah, it's all the silly news. You know, it's all the silly news and it depends what news you watch.
I mean, there's a lot there. I mean, it's kind of up to you, all of you, to decide where you want to go. Do you want to go to this kind of depressing effect of news?
Should we, or even can we, ignore what we're told we should see?
You mean you're talking about the news? I'm just wanting to come to you, Brian. What do you think? How do you feel about all this news coming through and kind of being flooded with all this? It is negativity, really, isn't it?
Well, it's a deliberate ploy to distract us from knowing our neighbour and caring about community, caring about ourselves. We're never taught to genuinely say that we love ourselves. You know, it's a show of sorts. I'm not in any way.
I mean, if there is actually a war looming, isn't it like a bit scary? And we our kind of.
That's not going to make it go away, though.
Our priorities kind of then go to this kind of global.
I don't worry one bit about any of it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's not rational.
Okay.
Well, I grew up, one of my earliest memories was being scared around the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Right. And even now, I wouldn't be too surprised if a mushroom cloud was to appear on the horizon. Yeah. I just figured to myself that it can't be as bad as going to the dentist because it'll be over in 2 minutes. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, nice one. At the end of the day, all this, you know, is just going to destroy anything.
I mean, are you agreeing with Brian that it is a kind of deliberate ploy to get us
to destabilise us, to fear people, to categorise people, to us and them, and yeah, I mean, America is deeply divided. You've got 50% of people voted for Trump, and this country now with Farage is becoming very deeply divided as well. And Yeah, and they wrap themselves in the Union Jack, and but yeah, I think it's to destabilise people. I think the real proof of the pudding is how communities like this actually deal with it. And as far as I've seen, there is a solidarity amongst what you might call working class people.
Right. Okay, so you're saying, in a way, I feel like I'm getting this from a lot of people, that actually we just need to focus more on what's happening here in the community, make sure we're more positive and we're more connected, and we're not going to subscribe to some...
Almost optimism as a form of rebellion.
Okay, yep.
I mean, could that form? I mean, okay, I'm gonna launch into the storytelling project because this is really interesting. And as you said, Mikey, this is the first time we're discussing geopolitics as such.
We have done in the past, but not for ages and ages, and it's sort of come back onto the agenda as something that everyone wants to talk about. Justin, can you pass us one of those alcohol-free beers as well while you're there?
The cheek of it, I was just... No, you need to be... Yeah, but... Yeah. No, Justin doesn't mind, I hope, anyway. But what I...
Help yourself to any foods or drinks, as they're all there for you.
Please, please do. But what I wanted to say is that we are launching a new project. It's called the Aberfeldy Stories, and the idea there is to see what people have got to say, what stories they want to tell, and yeah, sure, it could be their commentary on what's happening geopolitically, what's happening in the world, what's happening in the politics in general, but it could be something really just something very specific to that person, something about the local history, the local news, or something maybe from a personal experience that people want to share. And the idea behind the Aberfeldy Stories is that we will work with individuals and with as group sessions as well, to help making that first podcast episode or that first performance or write this first song.
A bit of optimism.
Yeah,
But we're not.
I think so, because I think, we're just trying to kind of also use creativity to get those stories into something that can be shared with other people in an interesting way, in a way that can provoke connection. So my question here is to the people around the table, do you have an idea for a story that you would like to tell, or maybe, what kind of story would you like to tell?
Can I just ask a question about Aberfeldy? Yeah. Just as I was walking up, there was a group of people there releasing balloons.
Yeah.
What was that about?
Do you know?
Does anybody know?
No, I don't know, but somebody... Who was I talking to? To somebody outside? Oh, yeah, I was talking to a lady from More Life Home. Big up More Life Home, great clothes. Check them out. And she was saying that she doesn't know for sure, but it could be in memory of someone, because there was a funeral. Does anybody know anything about it?
Celebrate the 4th anniversary of someone passing away, someone that used to drink in
Okay.
I've done one of those at the Bromley by Bow. Every now and again we do things. So I basically get guys together to basically let them be themselves. There's no, as I say, no judgment. We don't do religion, we don't do politics and all that in our group, and everyone's welcome. Ian knows all about what I've done and what I do. It's all voluntary and stuff like that. I suffered horrendous injuries in 2018. I've overcome most of them, but getting guys together is brilliant. We are now going in the Aberfeldy Hall, so we do some projects in there. In the next few weeks, we've got a guy coming in about prostate. We've got another one coming in bowel screening to fast track them. I've done it before in other centres. The reason I've got over here myself, because I float around all different projects. So North Woolwich, I've done stuff in the other side of the river, which I don't really like going to, but there you go. Needs must. And well, no, I mean needs must, but honestly, I've got no time. I've got no time. Yeah, they should be charging me 80 quid to come through the tunnel that side, and a penny to go through that way. Who wants to go that way? Anyway, basically, what's got me to the Aberfeldy is I'm not sexist. I'm not racist. I'm nothing like that whatsoever. Every centre that we've been to. You can get 139 women's activities in Tower Hamlets, just in around this area. You get 6 for men that get promoted by Tower Hamlets councils and stuff. I can't go to 2 of them because I don't speak the language. But yeah, anyone who don't speak English can come to ours. So the divides have got to be sorted out. It's sick.
So
it's
basically
sick.
what you're saying is not really enough stuff for
It's
men.
not. It's not. So we go out and do our own stuff. I can't get any funding. People, we, you know, and what happens? Every centre we've been to, we have the same. It gets it's repetitive. Women are running it.
Yeah.
So I've come to the conclusion. I've said to them, look, when you want women. You know, when you want a man to come in and talk about periods, give me a shout, I'll come in. What I know about periods, I can write the back of a stamp.
Yeah.
Most of these women who are trying to run the men's group, likewise, they can write on the back of a stamp what they know about men's mental health. So we've had reoccurrence, so it's one centre to another to another. We feel like travellers in a caravan. Right. We need to settle because and be recognised. I think, well, sort of, because 5 at the Aberfeldy have struggling for 5 weeks. It took me 2 minutes to do the 2 emails that 5 of them between them. So it's not right. I'm sure there's women who had problems with men with things as well. So I'm not, you know.
Well, we've got a lot of women around the table. Let's find. Well, there's lots of different ways we can go with this. We can find out what do men know about periods. What do women know about men's health problems? We could go down that road. We could find out more about.
It's just through experience.
Well, no, it's just that I wanted to just say to you that there are a few other men's clubs around Tower Hamlets. Yeah. There's one at Mind, that it's called the Shed, okay. And then there's one at Aberfeldy, and they go there and they play games and stuff. Okay. But they chit-chat about life in general.
Hang on a second, because we've got a new face at the table. We've got a new face at the table, so we have got Sophie, we have got Akbar, we've got Ian, we've got Brian, we've got Justin, we've got Sonny, we've got Martin, we've got Kim, and tell us your name.
My name's Julie, I'm chair of Aberfeldy Big Local.
Okay. So, as we've been talking about a lot, we started off talking about war and geopolitics, and are we being actually bombarded with like negative news? What are the positive things going on in the community? We heard about Martin's sort of a lot of initiatives to help men. Is there more to help women? And that's what we are right now.
Just to answer the question here, first one, I'm not having a thing. The games and things, yeah, because I organise it. I'm the one, no, Bond by Bow, no, I'm not welcome. I'm not actually welcome, then I don't smoke drugs and things, so I'm not allowed to go, right? Simple as that. Well, I ran it for 9 months. So, people, there's all thieving going on and things like that, so you don't want to go down that route. The Aberfeldy, yeah, there is games in that, because I'm the one that organised it and put it together with Juliana, Vicky and stuff. They have a morning coffee. They have a morning coffee with the seniors, but they don't want to come in and do the stuff we do. But we're open to anyone and everyone. Any guy can come in, doesn't matter. So, but the other thing about other places there is, but a lot of them we're not welcome, and secondly, it's not promoted enough because. That's what I'm saying. So if we knew, we would go to it. I go here, there, and everywhere to do things, and you know, and that's it. So yeah.
Okay, Margaret?
So I mean, what I'm also hearing is like the something quite particular about men's experience of mental health and different journeys. Maybe like you yourself said you were on a journey, but then others as well. So I wonder, whether one of the stories could be about that, or whether there's a way in which we could. Yeah, just kind of work with you. But I also like really hear your point about like not wanting to be like going from one place to another, maybe to settle. So I do wonder whether part of the thing that we could do as the Aberfeldy stories is to maybe help you. I mean, I don't know, maybe you already know this, but maybe how to register the organisation just to see who could help, who could get like properly involved to properly register it could be a community interest company or something. That's something that we've got experience in because we registered as one of them.
But what about this? Because we started
But yeah.
about telling the story. I mean, what about telling the story? You mentioned that. What would that story be?
Yeah, I want to.
There's lots of different stories about men's mental health.
I just want to plug Talkaoke here because you came along to the men's conference we had last year. You were the stars of the show. Perhaps we'll have another one of them this year.
Yeah.
And there are women's groups around. It seems to me, though,
Do you think there's an imbalance? Because I think that's what Martin's saying, is that there's
I don't think there's an imbalance. I think that when it comes to men, the old tradition about men being unable to talk about medical needs or that kind of thing, it actually, it's not perhaps as bad as it used to be, but it is very hard to get some men to open up. Now, I'm not saying all women open up, but I think it's easier as a man, I think it's easier for women to talk to each other about these things. And there has been a lot of research about men committing suicide and that kind of thing, and how I was reading today that apparently it's good for your mental health to talk. It's also good for medical conditions like strokes and things like that. And probably men are probably more prone to that kind of thing. I'm not an expert on that. But I just, that was the plug for Talkaoke.
Okay, well, definitely Talkaoke is there. I mean, I will say this is kind of up to you to decide where you want to go with this conversation. I mean, Margot's kind of put the challenge out, how do we turn this into a story that we can put out there to publicise further? I'm going to come to that.
Sorry. With regards to talking and the mental health, I don't know what, I mean, I talk all the time, and unfortunately...
Do you feel like you've got good mental health?
I think I'm all right, I don't really have too many issues.
Do you think it's because you talk a lot?
I tell you what, when the pandemic hit, that was probably my most troubled period in my time.
Your lowest point.
And I think specifically because I wasn't able to talk to people.
Yeah, so normally you would talk.
Well, I mean, I talk to different people all day by virtue of my job, and I'm talking to people for 20 minutes, half an hour.
So you're really getting to know them.
Yeah. And it's quite interesting how the talking is an issue, and I don't know whether talking face to face is more useful than online. Because lots of men do talk online. They're on their video games, and I see my son, he's on his, what's the name, Call of Duty and whatnot, and chatting to people. They're like, I mean, okay, they might be
trying to kill each other.
They might be killing each other or whatever, but they're talking. They're kind of conversing.
I mean, are they sort of on the same side in Call of Duty?
I think you can only talk to your own team.
Right.
To be honest, I've never played it. I've only watched him play it, and I think he's normally talking to people that are on his team. I have no idea. Honestly, I wouldn't know. I would have no idea. I've never played it. I bought the game and I paid for everything, but I don't know how to play it.
Okay, all right. There's a lot of questions coming up.
But is it more positive to be talking to people online, or is it okay to be online, or is face to face more important?
Okay.
Just got a quick question. So, because I'm just making some notes as well, because I want to kind of remember some of these ideas. So maybe one of the things, I'm just putting it to the table, could we record something or make something about getting men to talk, or how to start a conversation, or something that's, I don't know, not exactly here's me, here's my story. That could be one of them, but the other one could be like, if you are a bit shy about making contact, or talking is important. I don't know, just something about raising awareness and giving people tools to talk. We could go in that direction. I don't know what people think. Maybe that's just too much.
Okay, I mean, do people need tools to talk?
I started off as wanting to find a group myself, and I struggled. So I come up with the idea of, let me see if I can get some guys around, just so we can do things together, blah, blah, blah. So one of the first ones I'd done, 22 men. I said, I've got a guy coming in with prostate. There weren't a dry eye in the room, which was wonderful, because, I went and had me test done, PSA test, and with someone, and they said, any clean in here? There's no one in here. And the doctor came out and said, no, but I want it full, because you want more men in there getting tested, clearly. So, all this men don't talk, and I haven't come across it. Since 2018, when I had...
But is it sometimes they don't get a chance to do it?
A mixture of all sorts, I think. But no, I think... So as for getting people talking and stuff like that, and men talking, they do talk. Give them a platform. Give anyone a platform, and they'll talk, Right. That's my experiences. But again, not everyone's. But as for stories and stuff like that, a lot of the guys who come to the Aberfeldy or the other groups, we all travel 2 trains, 1 bus, DLR, or whatever, to get there. So they make the effort to get somewhere to sit and have a cry, or sit. So they're not doing it at home. So getting a story out for me would be, all the things we've got around us, I've been asked by I come up with an idea for the DLR, and they've put it forward, and they've said yes. So next year we're going to be getting some funding because we're doing something for the DLR. It's beneficial to them, and we're going to get help. It's getting these local links, all these people together, because you're not going to get nothing from the council. You're not really get anyone near the natter groups. You know, they probably won't get anything. If you do anything in a church, you've got to pay them. You know, it's more millions than what they've got, but you can't. So we've got to get together amongst ourselves, every community, and then everyone.
So your story would be that kind of self-organising.
Get together and beat the issues. Yeah. Beat the issues. You know, that's what I would call it. Something like that.
Okay, hang on. I'll come back to you in a second because Justin, you've had your hand.
I have said this on Talkaoke before, but I will say it again.
That's okay.
There is.
You can have repeats.
There is one person that I go to that has answered so many of my questions, and that is ChatGPT. I think she is brilliant because she knows everything, and in a way that no one else.
So do you actually sort of almost use ChatGPT as a kind of therapeutic tool?
Yeah. And she never burdens me with her problems, and she's never on her phone.
Right. Okay.
And it is said that what is therapy? Therapy is just finding out you're not the only person that feels that way.
Right.
And whether you do that one by one or even through ChatGPT, I think that's good.
ChatGPT. Okay, let's get some. I know you want to say something, but there's some people that have not said anything. Julie, you've not said anything. Sophie, you've not said anything. Person on the cheap seats at the back. Who's turned the light on and just killed the vibe?
Oh my God.
Kill the vibe there. Anyway, but Sunny, you've not said anything. Have you got any thoughts on any of these questions?
Yeah, okay. I quite like the idea to put the people together and give a platform for everyone. And so I think now sometimes I chat GPT as well.
Yeah, you use ChatGPT.
I ask I ask
what
opinion.
What questions do you ask?
See, I practice one type of qigong called Falun Dafa. But sometimes we have the xing. Xing means conflict. Sometimes, For example, I got a challenge from my friends, and I feel I can't, find a solution. To calm down myself. And then I chat GPT. I said, how can I do this? Because somebody blame me, and I feel it's not my wrong. And then GPT said, it's positive, isn't it?
Yeah.
So positive
it's
too.
positivity we're looking
It is,
for.
yes, it is. That's good to talk about. And then they try to give me step 1, 2, 3, 4, and let me to solve this problem. I feel a little bit, So,
Ian, turn off the lights over there.
Is it a person? ChatGPT. Whatever.
Is it a person?
Is it a person or is it an AI that you're talking to?
Well, it is AI, but it is to me a person, and to me a female person. I mean, it's female because I wanted it to be female.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sophie.
Well, I would agree with what Margaret was saying about the bringing stories out about different subjects.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that, saying that if they want to put me, I'd help in the way that we can always link up. I think with God's stories. Margaret was talking to me earlier when we was going out to the shop about involving getting stories and put out or doing podcasts. Well, Margaret can show me and tell me and ask me what to do.
Have you got a particular idea? Or
Not really, no. I haven't got nothing off my head at the moment, but I'll probably come up with something in the next few weeks.
But you think it's a good way to actually...
Yeah, of course it would be help. Of course it would help.
Okay, so are stories the way... Is it ChatGPT better? Are stories better? I'm quite interested in this... Is it Chin Chin? Chin Chin?
qigong, yes.
No, but what's it when you've got a conflict? What's that called?
In Chinese word is xing xing.
Xing xing.
Xing means the way you thinking.
And what is the sort of traditional way to get rid of xing xing?
We just, found a trust, friend and to talk about. And then the friend always guide you like a mentor, give you good.
Gives you balance in life.
Exactly.
I do that.
Yeah.
I do
So
what you-
face to face, more important. And plus, sometimes it's just like a balance. You won't like everybody know because it is so secret. But you chat it GTP and then you got some answer and say, oh.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like a trusted friend. Yeah. Go on.
But it's like the problem shared is a problem halved.
Yeah.
Type of situation, isn't it? It's a UK or British saying. You know, you discuss a problem.
What do you think about this idea that stories are the way ahead to actually get people? Will stories by themselves improve people's mental health? Do you think, or telling the
I think
story?
people read, and there's always something that brings you a bit more clarity and a bit more kind of. Like. Something helps to resolve your issues, not necessarily directly. I mean, I credit a book called A History of Tractors in Ukrainian.
Yeah.
To
that's a good book, is it?
Oh, I really think it was. No, it's not really a good book. It's an all right book, but
it's given
in
you
the
some
circumstances, in the time that I read it, it was really helpful for me.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would be for everybody.
Okay.
And I think this is about storytelling. It's about the circumstances.
So it's also about the relevance to you.
In your time, at that time, it doesn't necessarily have. It would have no bearing on my life right now.
Okay, so
but at the time it had a bearing.
So it's relevant for some people that like tractors in Ukrainian.
It has nothing to do with tractors or Ukraine.
Okay. Anyway, hang on a sec, Martin, because we've got some new faces at the table. So we've got Akbar, we've got Sophie, we've got Julie, we've got Kim, we've got Martin, we've got Sunny, we've got Justin, we've got Brian, we've got Ian, we've got Margot. I'm Mikey. Tell us your name.
Hi, I'm Anne-Marie.
At the moment, we sort of started talking about all these things going on in the news. There's a war here, there's a war there. The Americans are annoyed because they're having to bomb the Yemenis who are bombing the ships, who are taking the resources, and there's a war going on in Israel. Is all of this bad news just there to make us depressed and make us sad and stop us from connecting more locally? And then we started talking about local community. Martin runs a men's group just around the corner. Are there enough things out there for men? Do men have a problem talking, or is it just they have a problem organising? Because it sounds like they're good at talking, maybe not so good at organising stuff. And then we talked about stories. Are stories actually the answer to this? If so, what kind of stories? In some very rare cases, possibly a story about a tractor, a Ukrainian tractor, but it's not about that. But that's where we are right now, basically. Yeah.
Just a quick point, because I do really want to hear what kind of stories they've got in mind. But it's very true. When you put something online, there will be a right time for somebody to see it, because, okay, you're putting it out there and then it just lives in the world of the internet. Because I was recently watching, I'm doing a course as a massage therapist, so right now I'm just watching a lot of videos about that kind of stuff. And then I came across this channel, and this guy is just like explaining. He's very, very good. And I looked it up, and he recorded these videos like years ago, and that wasn't even a thought in my mind. So it just occurred to me, okay, it's a story, you're putting it there, and it's like difficult or whatever, but you just don't know who's gonna... Yeah, I put it out 10 years ago, but I wasn't 10 years ago thinking, oh yeah, I must watch it, because you just don't realize the impact of the creativity, of the material that you put out there. A man will pick it up in 10 years' time and be like, oh shit, that's really relatable. Or the Ukrainian book, which I read, I didn't remember much from it, but anyway. But it's just, so what I'm trying to say is, putting stuff out there can be very powerful. You may not see it immediately, but you will.
It might take about 10 years for somebody to pick up on it.
Hopefully less. I mean, it's archived, and if you have that interest in something, you're going to do research and look it up, aren't you? And then you'll find it, obviously.
Kim, have any stories kind of struck a chord with you and helped you out?
Recently, or in my life, you mean, generally?
Either.
I can't think offhand. I'll have to have a little think about that.
Think about that one. I'm going to come to Julie, because you've not said anything
Yeah,
yet.
I was speaking about stories and wanting to watch it when you need it. I was watching a Channel 4 documentary called The Trial, and it was basically about, it came out I think 5 years ago, and it was a guy who was on trial for killing his wife, and did he do it, and they showed it in over 5 episodes, and I pretty much watched episodes 3, 4 and 5 yesterday, and I actually, you know, through the evidence and watching the barristers, I was like, is he guilty, is he not, is it, well, could it be the third person or whatever, and I would have voted to convict him on the DNA evidence. In fact, if you haven't seen it, watch it, but I won't give away the answer, but it just goes to show, as Margot was saying, something came out 5 years ago, I was like, no, I was too much in the legal field then, but yesterday was the right time to finish it back, and I watched an Icelandic film called And Breathe Normally, and that's a brilliant film, and every time I see it, I see something new. So sometimes you can watch the same story and still see something new. So it just depends when you're ready for it, really. Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes the stories have got to sit there, to wait, to be ready for when you are personally ready. Somebody else might be enjoying it, but yeah.
So I just wanted to ask Margot, as she was getting a massage across.
What's that?
Is the massage coming out?
Oh, the medium is the massage, as we say, yeah.
No, the medium. Yeah, the message is coming loud and clear, and I've got a witness here. So there's somebody at this table right now who has experienced my massage. May they reveal themselves and give their reviews.
Okay.
The old saying is, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So, but also to go hand in hand with that, when it comes to creating things that are an expression of something that is very aligned and very true to you, you should do it to the best of your ability and not really expect anything in return. You shouldn't expect any external validation or anything like that. You're only really seeking to impress one person, and then you know that you've tried your best, and then it's out there, it's no longer yours. If people pick up on that, the more true you've been to yourself with that message that you are portraying, the more likely people will resonate with it and connect with it.
So you're telling the story to yourself first and foremost.
Yeah, I mean, it's like half a Pat GPT thing, which is, you know, you're expressing yourself like you're doing, you come home, you feel bad, you want to try and comprehend a situation you've been in. Half of that battle is just to put it down, and then it's expressed, and then you can see it for what it is. You lack the emotion that perhaps could be skewing you.
Actually asking the question is more important than the answer.
Absolutely, yeah.
When it comes to Pat PGT. Okay. Yeah, go on.
So I was just going to say, a large part of being a Stoic is that you keep a journal.
What's a Stoic?
Stoic is it's a philosophy. Yeah, and a lot of that is it's basically being able to only worry about things you can affect, and just make sure that, you know, what other people say doesn't matter because you've got no control over it, or things outside your radius that you've got no control over.
Don't get stressed about things that other people
Absolutely, you could say the thing about the war, but a big part of that is keeping a journal and learning from that. So that's.
I think, you know, I'm sorry. I think from my experiences, as I say, from 2018, I've tried to live a life of the want and need. So it's, you know, basically I've always lived in the real world. I can't handle anything outside of that. It's not my.
When you say outside of the real world, what are you talking about?
Something that's not real.
But are you talking about like news?
You know, just anything that's not media? Anything that comes my way, and it's not real, it's not factual, it's not. I can't be asked. It's just you know, I never got into. I mean, no, just anyone can like Batman and superheroes and whatever. I have nothing. I have no complaints. If people, it's me. He doesn't not going to do anything for me. It's not going to do anything for me. So the want and need. So for example, going to a shop and I see something. Oh, do I want that? Yeah, I really want it. Do I need it? No, I don't get it.
Right.
So I've always been disciplined that way.
Is that why you've got the grapes and not the Jaffa cakes?
No, I haven't had any. It's just been passed around. No. So no, I've always done that. So just living in the real world is hard. I know the escapism of, you know, wanting to do whatever you want to do. Fair play to them, and that's them. Me, I like getting my head into a good book. You know, I like what, you know. If say for example, I remember a leaflet come out. It's called Autobiography. It's a leaflet. Robbie Williams. a leaflet. I mean, he was 21, he wrote an autobiography. It was a leaflet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What have you done in 21? Well, I had a nappy on, then I had a dummy, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then someone thought I couldn't sing and give me a contract. I read Sir Norman Wisdom. The man had a life. The man achieved more things than any after people, you know, Isambard, King of Brunel, you know, that sort of stuff.
Okay, so
I love, because, you know, it's factual and it's, but the other stuff, I don't disagree with anyone who, or anything personally, I just don't want it my way, because if it's going to get in my way, it stops my journey, my path. Yeah. The recovery I was on, I didn't want anything getting in the way and blocking it, because I already had blocks in the way that I was trying to remove. So basically what Ian was saying about, you know, dealing with things that are real.
Dealing with the things that you can actually change.
Yeah, I just say want and need, you know.
Yeah, okay. Go on that, Bill.
It's quite interesting because I'm almost the complete opposite. I enjoy fantasy. I like the fantasy realm. I like.
Yeah. Do you like
all sorts of stuff? I'm into.
Batman?
Yeah. Superheroes, vampires, zombies, the lot. I love it all. In fact, I watched, and I'd never seen it. It was a BBC thing, Dracula from 2020. So, I think it's just something that allows you to escape. Yeah. I mean, I don't have a bad life. I've quite a good life. Yeah. So it's not like I'm trying to escape from.
Well, you just like to find yourself in this world of like these kind of.
Yeah. It's just
and
different stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's quite interesting because I find it really hard to read autobiographies or read factual accounts of things. I mean, I read textbooks and I read all things related to my work. Yeah. But I don't necessarily want to read a biography. And I don't necessarily want to read... a book on, the Second World War or any of these things. I mean, I will have done it for history, and I do enjoy learning about history. I just don't want to sit there through it, and I'd much rather watch a zombie movie or something like that. You know, I'm very much looking forward to the new 28 film. 28 years.
28 film. Okay, I don't know anything about it, but
28 days later.
Is it like 28? It's going to be 28 decades later.
And then 28 years.
28 years later, and what are they going to do next after that? Yeah. Anyway, Anne-Marie.
Sort of related, but I suppose I wanted to share a story about a story. I haven't. Oh.
No, because we've been asking stories all night, and then we haven't actually heard any yet. So,
picked up the cues. Okay, great. So this is talking about basically. I feel like you're kind of talking about fiction versus non-fiction. Yeah. I read a lot of non-fiction. I read a lot of reports. I read just articles on the internet. You know how easy it is just to read a lot of crap. And I don't look for a fiction book, because I just feel like I haven't got time. And I was making a journey to a work thing, and they had in the station a little fireplace, this little old waiting room, and this collection of books to give away. And I was like, all right, I'll read one of these books. And it was a book about a girl that goes to Paris. It was a bit of a fairy story, and I would never normally read something so silly and sort of superficial and shallow, but I really just loved the experience of reading this book. I would read it in the bath in my grotty little flat, and just suddenly I'm in Paris, and I started listening to like Parisian jazz and just really influenced by this book. It was about Shakespeare and Company, the bookshop, and I don't know, and I feel like I've almost been fundamentally changed by just picking up this book in the train station a few months ago.
You accidentally picked up the book and you went back into a world of, I'm going to hit the sound effect again, of fiction.
Yeah, and creativity and magic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I completely love that, because I often feel like I don't have time to be reading fiction. It's all where it's at is the real life. And of course, a lot of it is. But I think there's something amazing that fiction can do. It can really transport you. It can just enchant you. It doesn't mean that it's about stuff that's irrelevant. It just transports you. And when you were talking about the the films that you're watching, the film that you rewatch again, and you find something new. I kind of wondered whether there's a capacity to corporate word. Sorry about this, but I wonder what would like fiction in Aberfeldy Street look like, because obviously everybody's got a lot of personal stories, and I really want to hear them, and I want to turn them into something amazing. But if we were to make like a fictional story or true crime or whatever, like I'm just curious about it. What would that be? What would that be? If people together wrote a novel, you know, and then happens this, and then Julie takes over and writes the next chapter.
In Aberfeldy.
Yeah, maybe not murder mystery, but you know, it's a mystery, a fictional history story, you know.
Murder a property developer, and you know.
It could go in any direction, something that we want to, you know, we can create something, a fictional Aberfeldy.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be a factual story. It could actually be, yeah.
Sorry, or could we have like a library, like what you found in a train station? Could we just put up a little book exchange thing on Aberfeldy Street?
Should we do it? I mean, that
we
would be, because to be honest, I got tons of books, although most of them are not fictional books, I've got to say. Yeah. Okay, yeah, go on.
There is a book exchange at Almari, actually.
What is it?
And the reason why I know is because one day I came in with a pile of books, and then they said, "Oh, this is really interesting. Can we take a picture of your pile of books? We're thinking about doing something on books." And then the next thing they put a shelf, so you can actually exchange, take a book from the bookshelf, read it, bring it back. They expect them back, but it is a book exchange. I mean, if you don't bring it back, they're not going to send the police after you, are they?
Yeah.
This goes back.
Yeah.
Sorry. It just goes back to what I was saying earlier. All these things are available. No one knows. You all from Aberfeldy, you didn't know.
I didn't know.
I'm from Mile End, I didn't know. So how about do a story of how do we get
to know about
how do we find out information? And you got these next door neighbour
could be a
links, and you
detective
got
story,
you got next door neighbour apps things and all that things. You know that. Yeah, so we need to do more, because clearly, if you didn't even know there's one round the corner in Aberfeldy, that just answers me what I was saying.
Part of the answer, which is how have you today found out about that, and how have we found out about all the things we found out about today? You know, it's about coming together.
This is a kind of information exchange in itself.
Word of mouth is often the best way.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to come to Ian because you've been patient.
Have I? Oh, right.
Relatively patient.
Relatively. Paul Wallace was interviewed, and he said that, because he puts a lot of political points of view, and he said, but it always goes across better if it's got a good tune.
Yeah.
And people tend to remember it more. And in my last book that I wrote, I used my experiences in working in hostels, homeless hostels, that the characters I used to depict it were based on people, but they weren't people, they were fictional people. And you basically, that persona of taking on different characters gives you that kind of diversity. Anything could happen to them that hasn't happened to you. Not locked into yourself.
Yeah.
You know, but things you see other people do and the way that they react and that you can put across with sympathy and empathy and all that sort of stuff. And you need a good vehicle to do that.
So it would be a fictional representation of someone a bit like you, but not you. Yes.
Different hair or something. Yeah. I want to link some things up, and also just hearing what you said about Almari's got the book exchange. But okay, so how about we set up something not quite like that, but similar, where it's going to be a story exchange station in Aberfeldy, except that we will be writing the stories. So you pick up like one-page short story, and then you will know that it's written by somebody on the street, but you won't know who. Or maybe you would, maybe people will sign them, I don't know. But, you know, you pick it, and all you're investing is like however long it takes to read A4 paper. That's not very long. But yeah, what do people... I'm excited about it.
All right, yeah.
Just following on from, your names? Martin's comment about not knowing about the book exchange and how do we could do something like an information bank, you know, because I know where to get bubble wrap if I ever need it in the community. I don't know if I'll get it from you guys. You know, I know when I've got to send a parcel, I can get a box and bubble wrap, you know. Nobody knows that I'm setting up a gallery in my own home. You can go to an after-hours gallery that's free. You know what I mean? And have a drink at my home. But it's an information bank. That's something we're installing right now. I mean, like... What's that?
The resource bank.
Yeah, the resource bank. So, information bank. And coming back to stories, I love fact, but I also love fiction. I love Haruki Murakami because reading him, you get totally lost in a world that you may never have come across. I love films like... there was a film with Matt Damon and Tandy Newton. I can't remember, but it was all interwoven lives. And if you missed the first 2 minutes, you missed a lot. Because if you didn't see the man that was pulling off on the truck, you didn't know how that linked back later. And it's a great... I will come up with that film title, but it was not Traffic. It was something. But I definitely will tell you the name of it. But that is a great film if you want to get lost in a story. But you need to watch that 2 or 3 times because you'll see things again. I'm very much about films that you see it once and then when you see it again you're like, you know, so it's great.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No, it's just there are lots of archives around in Tower Hamlets. You know, there's Bishopsgate Institute. It's got loads and loads of photographs of the areas, and there's the Bancroft Road Library. They've got lots and lots of photographs. So even if we photocopied some of those photographs and had them on, spread them out about, you know, and then it might jog people's memories, and then more and more stories will come from past, like the Teviot Festival that used to run here many, many, many moons ago.
Yeah. Okay. What can you tell us a little bit about?
Oh well, only that I used to go, and it used to be great fun. Like the E1 Festival, they used to have every year, and you know the Teviot Festival. It was the thing.
What kind of things do they do there?
Oh my God!
Come
on now.
This is the story that we want to hear.
So there would be, you know, local artists. There'd be, I don't know, tug of wars. You know, all like local things that people really love doing. I don't know, like there'd be a beer tent, of course. You know, there'd be a big stage and lots of local bands would be playing.
When did it start and when did it end?
Oh my God! I think well, in the 70s, in the early 70s, I think, I mean, there's lots of new community of people coming in around Teviot and around Tower Hamlets all the time. Yeah. So maybe not a lot of people know about it. But I know that when I got the bus up here, I was saying to the guy, "Oh, do you stop at this guy said, "Oh, where's Teviot Street? I don't recognise the place. Where's the bloody green?" You know. And I said, "Yeah, I know. It's bizarre, isn't it? Because the bus goes all around there. It's all developed now, and so
when did they
a lot of people." Probably in the late 80s, probably when all the funds were running out.
Okay, so everything just ran out of money.
I just wanted to say the film I was talking about was called Crash. It's a great film. Yeah, Matt Damon, Tandy Newton, all-star cast, really great. What's that? No, it's Sandra Bullock. It's called Crash. It's an American film. Brilliant film.
Have you seen the film?
Yeah.
Have you seen the film?
Yeah, it won the Oscars, didn't it? Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the film?
Yeah, it's all these interwoven stories that kind of link up. Yeah.
Have you got, as somebody that watches films, have you got any views on this question about stories, and is it a good way just to kind of, I don't know, I suppose, get people talking and get people together?
Yeah, if you're able to be put into a different environment, I mean, like this theatre show, Mikey, that I'm in, puts you into scenarios that maybe you're someone that's antithetical to yourself.
Right.
Can you be that person? Can you react in that way?
Okay, so you're saying actually embodying characters in stories actually is one step further than simply hearing about stories. Okay.
Yeah, 2 things. That's a great point. We did some stuff about comedy before, about writing comedy stuff, and how you could be quite a shy person, but if you give yourself a funny name and get up on stage, you can be somebody else. Yeah. You know, you could portray things that you would never say before, things like that. Secondly, I'm really interested. I mean, I'm 67 years old now, and I grew up at a time when, you know, not long after the Second World War, when community meant something different. It wasn't as diverse, which, you know, I'm not saying is a good thing. I think diversity is great. But how did we get from that stage where we had things like the Teviot Festival, and now we're struggling to get people together? You know, there was that, I hate to say it, sounds so old, but that kind of community spirit that was there. And how did it, I mean, I was involved with the church, I still am, that's my church across the road. You get these lovely black and white photographs, things like the festival, they've got photographs of the festival and that. Lovely black and white photographs of people growing up in the area and the kids playing out on the streets. You don't really see that anymore, and if you do, you're probably frightened of them because they become a gang rather than kids playing out on the streets. So there's been that kind of transition between the kind of post-war experience of being a community with almost a common goal. Obviously in the war it was to win the war, but that common experience seems to have gone. And I think it's things like a Teviot Festival that would bring that kind of thing back, because you know, especially with the diversity, you would engage with that. So it's a very interesting point how society has moved. I blame things like computers and that kind of thing because I think it encourages people to be isolated. And talking on the internet means that you don't have to go and talk to other people. I talk to people on the bus. I mean, I've been arrested sometimes, but you know, I still do.
Okay, well, we won't delve into that too much.
Sorry, just quickly, I was a history teacher for 20 years, so obviously I give game away now. But I used to talk to children, obviously, on a day-to-day basis, and there was children with different things they were talking about. And some of the questions, I used to write a question on a board, or I'd encourage a child to write a question on a board for others to look at it. For example, just randomly, one child wrote, "Is there a God?" So that was a discussion that we had, and it was a really good one. And they've all got their own views and that. And I said to him, no one's right, no one's wrong, no one's here to, you know, it's about letting them have that platform to speak. I asked questions, like someone said, why do we know more about space than we do in water, the sea, but we got access to the sea, but we can't all go to the space. So we had those discussions and things, and I think, you know, living in, I mean, I was a foster carer for 10 years, I was a teacher, I've run youth groups, I've run adult groups, I've run all that. So I've always lived a life of, you know, what needs now, rather than, keeping your feet on the ground, sort of, as they say. So for me, it's been hard well, I wouldn't say it's hard, I just choose not to. You know, life's about choices. So getting into
internet and stuff.
Yeah, it just, if look, you can do wonders with it. Yeah, but people abuse it. It's like anything. You can have a car, brilliant. You can go around ramming people with it, can't you? Go stealing others. So it doesn't matter what you got. There will be a minority. That,
do you think the internet has kind of discouraged people from getting together?
I think it's corrupted people and kids. They don't see it for what it is. They want it. Oh, I can do that, and then another kid goes, do that. Oh, I'll do it, and it's kids having kids. A lot of it is kids having kids. Then their nan has to look after their grandchild as their daughter because. The mum or dad can't do it. Yeah. Fatherless family, kids, you know, many in the schools, you know. So yeah, I had a lot of that sort of stuff. But you know, as I say, just getting people together. It doesn't matter if you haven't got a father at home. It doesn't matter if you're from a different country. It doesn't matter.
Everybody.
Just get together. You imagine putting all that into a pot. What recipe you would have there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what it's about.
Pretty spicy. Akbar, are you
okay? Sort of slightly going back a little bit. Stories. I remember one of my ex-girlfriends used to be into this. I don't know if it was a website or a book. It was both, maybe, where people had written on postcards or posted something, a secret.
Okay, so they'd written.
I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's something like that, where people would.
I've actually done that, but I can't. Honestly, I can't remember what.
And then I thought about, you know, like we don't have tape answering machines anymore with tape, and maybe in a kind of reverse of one of your projects at uni. Where you could listen to people talking, right?
Yeah.
Why not provide a booth for people to talk, to tell their story in an audio form?
Yeah.
2 minutes or something like that, maximum. And, you know, tell us a secret or a story or whatever you want to do. And I wonder whether that's a way to get Aberfeldy to the people in the area to talk about something. It doesn't have to be anything necessarily exciting, but it could be. You know, it's just something that brings the stories together in a collection.
But you're saying as a telephone booth or something where people record stuff?
Little pods, maybe.
Oh, Mikey would love making that, wouldn't you? Okay.
Yeah.
Some, little, headphones in it, and then you can speak. Be on a little podcast, wouldn't it?
I think you have to. I think you have to pose the question, though, isn't it? You can pick.
Pick from a menu.
Tell us the story about the time when you first day of school, first partner. Maybe not, but I mean, because.
Well, you might need some prompts because ChatGPT always needs some prompts, doesn't it? It doesn't really say anything.
Unless you ask a question.
So maybe it's the same here. We need some prompts.
Prompts about things that went on locally.
Yeah. Can you tell us, or can you tell us a story about this, and then you pick the item? Yeah, it could be.
Okay, Justin. Anything?
Well, I was going to say something, pick up on something that Ian said, but just on your point, Akbar, increasingly I've found myself using voice notes on messaging apps increasingly, because you just put your thing there. You don't have to know when the person's going to listen to it. They can listen to it at their own leisure, and you can listen to theirs at your own leisure. But it's kind of similar to what you're talking about. But anyway, Ian said something in passing that I wanted to pick up on about churches, like when post-war and that. And I actually go to my local church on a Sunday morning, not because I don't subscribe to any of the beliefs, but it's a social thing, a community thing.
Where's that church?
In Notting Hill.
Okay. So
but I have now firmly come to the conclusion that the vast majority of the congregation are there for social reasons and not any other reason.
Right. So it's
and it's great because you all know what time it's going to be there, and if you can't make it, you don't have to tell anyone.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be people there that you know, and then we go for a coffee afterwards, and it's just really nice. Okay. And bring back churches. Well, I mean, they never went away.
Yeah. Okay. So bring back churches. They never went away.
More community centres for kids. Yeah. Because it's a dying art,
Okay.
Not too many. Not any younger one. There was one down in Parnell Road. I was a manager of one for 11 years, and then they was introducing 18s to 21s to give them places to play football. I said, I better get them a job. Learn how to plumb, learn how to do lecturers, giving them sweets at 21. I said, behave yourself, getting out of bed 2 o'clock in the afternoon. No, I don't think so. National service, learning education.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to something the other day about this thing about this benefit lark. I come up with not an idea. I was listening to it about what about getting some of these criminals out of prison and taking them giving them national service training and stick them in the military and that kind of thing. That was the idea that I was thinking of when I heard it.
So what are you saying that
instead of them where they're bothering with the crime on the streets, instead of bunging them in prison and let them have the life of luxury in prison, chuck them into the military and give them national service and train them. Or become a local window cleaner or something.
Okay, interesting. Come in, you're invited very much. Come and get involved in this. Yes. We're going to hit these people with a round of applause. Hello. Welcome to Talkaoke, Pop-Up Talk Show. At the moment, there's a few different subjects on the table. Go on.
Sorry. Regarding military service, having worked with quite a lot of young soldiers, I don't know if all of them, and these are people that have made the choice because we don't have conscription. Not all of them have made the right choice. Quite a lot of them have not made the right choice. And they
regret being in.
Oh God, yes. And the only reason they're seeing me is to try and get out of the military for medical reasons. Okay. That's the only reason.
We've got some new faces at the table. So we have got Anne-Marie, we've got Akbar, we've got Sophie, we've got Julie, we've got Kim, we've got Martin, we've got Sonny, we've got Justin, we have got Brian. Tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Simona.
Simona?
Yes.
I'm going to hit you with a round of applause and tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Gabi.
Gabby.
Gabi.
Come on, sit down. So come and go. And we've got drinks for you. We've got snacks for you. You've walked into a freeform talk show where... are you local to this area?
I am. I am. He's
so
not.
One of the things we're talking about is like the stories in this area. Are we sharing the stories in this area? Do we need to do more to convene the community? What are the best ways of doing it? Is it to have a kind of... Belle suggested we should have a little phone box where people can record their stories and then you can hear other stories. So that was one idea. But, I mean, what do we do? I mean, you were saying actually going to church. You like to go to church just to socialise. And there's lots of different... It's like, do we need to connect people more in this area? And what are the ways of doing it? That's what we're talking about right now. But
Nice.
you just hang on in there. If you've got something to say, just attract my attention. Say something.
Just to go back on that, you're absolutely right. Yeah, but that's what I was saying. People can work their prison sentences off, but whatever job you go in, sometimes you might not want to do it, but you've got to pay your bills. So, military is just an off the cuff sort of thing. Okay. But there is so many things you can do, but they could do it and regret it. People could be here tonight and say, I didn't want to go, but I loved it. You see what I mean? It's what life is, isn't it? It's choices. But you're right, you're absolutely right.
If anyone regrets coming here tonight, I do apologise. But you gave it a go at least. Anyway, go on.
No, but what I wanted to say is, talking about the military service.
Yeah.
For instance, I'm from Poland, and like they talk about war all the time. But then I was listening to this radio program recently, and people were it was a phone-in, so people were phoning saying things, and then people were saying like, look, maybe not necessarily. We want to get training
Have they got
to be.
military service in Poland?
It's not compulsory, but they're talking about training a lot of volunteers, and if you're a male, then obviously that's great, but then women as well. And some people went on some kind of training, kind of like a civic training or something like that. And actually people were saying, we could benefit as a community from just like knowing how to behave when there's this kind of thing happens, not necessarily a war, or how to give first aid and that kind of stuff. These practical skills, because somebody was saying earlier, what happened in between, maybe it was you, Ian, in between the 70s and now, people used to be more kind of together, they had the Teviot Festival, and now everybody's in Ireland. But I think, maybe people sometimes don't know how to be together, and maybe just by doing something practical,
So
because...
some kind of war drill?
Not even a war drill,
drill.
but I don't know. But like, for instance, there's somebody on the internet that I occasionally look at their videos, and then just tell you how to pack your bag in case, in case you hear a fire, like an air raid siren, No, I know. No, but you know what I mean? No, but but just like, so people don't panic, because going back to this like global politics that we started off by talking at the beginning of the evening randomly, like if something does happen, hopefully it won't, and it's just like fear mongering, but if something does happen, like I'd like to think that I know what to do, but I don't actually know what to do. So maybe something, part of the Aberfeldy stories, could there be something more practical? Maybe some of it is creative, maybe some of it is practical skills.
Should we do like a sort of war drill or a war reenactment? Would you get involved in this if we did a kind of like, just a kind of practice session in case there is a war? Would people...
It's a bit like a fire drill, isn't it? If you're at work, the siren goes, you all know that you've got to meet out in the playground, right?
Yeah.
So,
would it actually gel the community together? Yeah, go on.
I can't even comprehend that kind of discussion. It's totally, out of my remit. But what I would say is that, because everyone around this table is too young, but if you look at that window now, in 1942, it may well have been filled with like 100 German bombers dropping bombs on people. So there is an older generation that might have grown up at the end of that. And I think if you can try and convey the camaraderie or the sheer terror of that might go some way to soothing people. They got through it, the best generation they call them. They got through it, and a lot of them died, but most of them survived. And I think that kind of spirit, it's a bit of a hard word, spirit, but that kind of knowing that people have done this kind of before and come out of it the other side more united, might be inspired by people who lived through the Blitz.
I mean, was it part of that community spirit that was post-war when you were growing up? Do you think it was?
We had
an effect. I mean, obviously it was like 20 years later.
Yeah, but there was still the idea of different communities. I mean, my dad used to show me the place where his best friend got blown up by a bomb. I grew up playing in places called bomb sites. Now, if you say something about a bomb site now, people think it's...
my bedroom, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've not been to your bedroom, but I'm open to offers. But yeah, so there is that kind of thing where you can dig into that, people's ability to come together. I don't think it's through national service. Although, it frightens me that at the end of the day, when they come out of national service, the people that are going to still do the mugging and that are still going to be trained in unarmed combat. It's going to, oh my God. But I think we need to remember that this is not the first time that this country has been on the evil. That's what I referred to the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah. And what year was that? Do you know?
63.
Right.
62, 63. And and I was only about 6 or 7 years old, and I remember the adults talking about war all the time, and I remember being undermined, destabilized, frightened by that.
The fear was actually greater than the community gelling effect.
I think people talked about it and they came together because they were scared. And I think the idea that, going back to the Blitz, that when people are scared, they need the comfort of other people. And I mean, for me, bringing it back to a time now, the thing about what the attacks on welfare benefits and things like that, I think that's just as much an assault on communities as perhaps the Blitz was, because, it's attacking people who are vulnerable.
Right, okay. Yeah, go on, no, you take priority, Simone, because you're a new face.
So one thing I would like to say is that I think we should also prioritize maybe preventing this as a community. So some of the things we can do to prevent these things, like wars, for example, to inform ourselves more and more, to vote with the right people, because they are basically leading all of these wars. It's a war between them, not us necessarily, like the citizens. So... yeah, I think that's something worth thinking about.
Earlier on, I think it was you, Brian, kind of saying that all of the kind of negativity, because we started off talking about all the wars going on in the world and how it's making everyone feel negative. And a lot of people on the table were saying that is just a kind of strategy to sort of make us more negative and not consider our community. But is it something we should be mentally involved in, or is it something we should just be putting out of our minds?
I can share one of my experiences from a few months ago. So I'm originally from Romania, and we've gone through some presidential elections a few months ago, which ended up being postponed until, I think, March. Yeah. And one of the parties was Democratic, and one of the other ones was pro-Russia, pro-Putin, nothing good, basically. And it created this divide between people. So Romania was basically split in half, and it was really something stressful to witness.
So actually divided the country, and it made it a bit more toxic, maybe? Did it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The internet was full of rage, and it just put people against each other, and I think that's something that can happen even in the case of war. It's something that happens in America as well, one of the leading countries in the world, right?
We were talking about that earlier, actually.
Yeah, and I think the way Americans also vote is a lack of information as well, because we can also all agree maybe that Trump is doesn't have the best intentions, maybe. That's my opinion. Everybody can have their own opinion.
Yeah, that's what Talkaoke is all about. Thanks for that.
I just wanted to talk about this camaraderie of post-war camaraderie in this country. I don't know if it really existed. I think it might have existed. The poor people stuck together because they were poor, and the rich people didn't give a fuck about the poor. You know, really didn't. And here's the thing, I think that's exactly the same situation now. I don't think that wealthy people really care. And in America with the Republicans and so on, there are poor people that will vote, are low information voters that will vote for the Republicans because they support a ban on abortion or whatever it is, because they have deeply held religious beliefs or whatever. And then there are others that are just wealthy and don't give a shit. They just want to pay less in tax. They don't care whether abortion's legal or not legal. It doesn't matter. We're wealthy. If their daughter gets pregnant, we'll bring her to France and sort it out. It doesn't matter.
What's the way ahead here? Is it?
I don't know. I think there can be community, but the problem is that people are on such different levels. So this area, you have relatively poor people as well as incredibly affluent people. They're not in the same community.
Okay.
I think they live together, they live in the same place, but they're not part of the same community. Now, what can bring communities together are probably arts. Things where you do have a commonality. Yeah. You know, you can be poor and be interested in a sculpture, and you can be rich and interested in a sculpture. And public art and public displays of art, and this storytelling idea.
You think that's quite a good way to actually gel?
I think that's the only way to gel community, because it can't be done on any other basis. You have to have a basis that where everybody can appreciate that thing at the same level. If you're looking at a painting, you're not, if you're a multimillionaire, you're not looking at it in any different way to somebody who's not, you know?
I'm going to go to Julie, then Anne-Marie,
I think art is a good segue, but I'm going to give you a real life story.
Do you agree with that, Belle, that we've got different communities in the same
We do. We're 3 bus stops from Canary Wharf. It feels like a completely different place. Yeah, it's a completely different world, and you know, you only have to wait till 5 o'clock and you see all the coaches coming to take people out of town because they don't live in Tower Hamlets. They live in, you know, Essex and other places, and they get the coaches and get out. But I do agree that art can be the leveler. One thing I was going to say was, I've got a funny story. I was once in Waitrose, and something in my brain said to me, Julie, don't get the basket that you normally get. Take your time, get a trolley. So I followed my instinct. I got a trolley. As I got the trolley, there was a gentleman who worked there. There was a lady holding her child's hand. Her button got stuck. She was asking the guy, can you help me undo my button? And I just thought, this is crazy. Let go of the child's hand for a second, flip your button and go about your business. Anyway, as this woman is asking the guy who works there to help her get her button unstuck, this lady comes up and says, where's the gelatine? And I said, it's in baking. And she's like, I checked there. And I said, no, definitely, look on the bottom. Anyway, I went around and I met the woman again at Bleach. There is an end to this story. And she said, I found the gelatine. She's from Scotland. And I said, oh, and I had a Vogue magazine in my trolley. And she said, what's happening with the Vogue? And I said, I'm going to see Kerry Washington, who's going to be talking to Edward Enninful, the editor of Vogue. And she's like, okay, when are you going there? And I said, I'm going next Friday at South Bank Centre. She's like, I'm going to South Bank Centre. And I said, who are you going to see? Because obviously she wasn't coming to see Kerry Washington and Edward Enninful. She said, I'm going to see George the Poet. And I looked at this woman, you know, older white woman with grey hair, and I thought, I don't put you and George the Poet together in my mind, but I didn't obviously say that. She said, why don't we meet for a drink? This woman turned out to be a head of a law firm. She had a law firm in London and New York. This was 18 months ago. We've done.
Right.
She runs a literary lounge. I've invited her to art events. Now this woman is quite wealthy. I'm not too badly off, but I'm not wealthy. But it's the power of stories, communication. I've attended her literary lounges. She's come to art events. You got to talk to people. And if I hadn't listened to myself and took a basket instead of taking the trolley, I would have missed that lady, and I would have missed a lot in life.
But what are you saying here, Judy? You're saying that the arts help?
Arts can help. She runs a literary lounge. I've introduced her to my art crowd because I'm an art collector.
Do you now feel like you're part of the same community, or do you feel like you're a different?
No, I think we're definitely different people, but we have things in common.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're never going to bridge the wealth divide between us because she's on a totally different level. But that doesn't mean that we don't have things in common. And what she says to me is, God, I've learned so much from you. Whereas normally people on the outside looking in would think I would be learning from her. But I've been able to introduce her in a way to things that she may not have, you know, come across, you know? But it's been a good learning experience. Thank you.
And that's the kind of stories that we're looking for as well on the Aberfeldy story. We've got another project that we're doing. Yeah, bring her along. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, we've done the applause. I'm going to give it to Anne-Marie first because you've only had it for ages, then Ian. But is art the way, or creativity the way to bring these people together, even if they are from different places? Or?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to pick up on what you said, because I totally agree with what you said about different classes and art bringing people together. But I wanted to share a funny story about when art totally did not do that on my estate, the Brownfield estate, just over the motorway. You may well know this, being local residents. It was when they were decanting Balfron Tower. And so there were still some residents living in there, but they were all about, they were in the process of getting shipped off to like Stoke-on-Trent or wherever. So it was a lot of like unpleasantness. Meanwhile, Bow Arts put a load of artists in the building. And it was just not well received. So these artists ran like a kind of immersive 24-hour Macbeth in the buildings, in the corridors, while all these like working class people were just still doing their normal jobs, and they like hated these artists. And then there was a proposal to chuck a piano off the top of Balfron, which is like 48 stories high. But they didn't, which, would have been cool in a way, but there was like a horrible historical resonance, because apparently a baby had been killed because somebody had put their child in the 70s, I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody had put their child in a pram in their garden, and people were chucking rubbish off because like the flats became really like, GLC weren't caring for them anymore. So somebody chucked something off a TV apparently and killed a baby. So then this artist who knew nothing about the history came and said, yay, let's chuck a piano off. And everybody's like, ugh. And so this was just, I totally agree that art can divide, but that was such a great example of how art washing just totally, I meant unite, totally divided our community.
Okay, so it can be done very badly as well. When was this?
God, I don't know. Maybe about 10 years ago, I reckon, when the kids were really, my kids were small. So.
All right, have you been hit by a falling piano?
I was going to say, I was that baby. I was that piano. About the art people, I used to be the secretary of the social club, and Brownfield Social Club. Yeah. And when they were there, I don't know if it's something that's unique to artists, but they do tend to like a bevy, shall we say. And they fitted in so well with the local community that went up there. Perhaps alcohol had something to do with it.
In this case, alcohol was actually the
alcohol is the answer, I'm here to tell you, you know. Really bad thing to say, I know. But yeah, so it was that kind of contact, on a one-to-one level, talking about people, talking about what their experiences are. I think the thing about art is interesting. I think that I ran a stall in the marketplace, and my job is all about me. I'm a resident liaison officer, so I come into contact with lots of people with issues and that. And I ran this stall, and it was for the wild women. I got a couple of wild women. I'm advertising wild women. The gardening club and the choir. I used to be part of a choir. Now I can't sing to save my life. And one of the most strangest things is, if you walk up to a random man in the market, and say, "Oh, have you ever thought about singing?" The first thing they do is they look around like, "Is this some kind of joke? Why? Of course I haven't." And what I mean is that expressing yourself through song, and the idea of the typical, I don't want to say typical, some people having the ability for self-expression and feeling that anything they ever said was not worth ever mentioning ever again in any form, whether it be song, art, writing, anything like that. It's very hard to get across to people that their contribution matters, because they've probably been brought up, especially older people, in an age where, I went to university and I was told that I was from a non-traditional background, and that was because I was working class. Yeah. I mean, what's more traditional, But the fact that I was in a middle-class establishment made me non-traditional. So I think you have to give people the confidence to express themselves, and give them the means to get that confidence.
Okay, and that's another. Come in. Yes. This is Talkaoke Pop-Up Talk Show. You're very welcome to come in. We've got a whole bunch of people here. You don't have to say anything. You can sit.
Jaffa cake.
Yeah, you can have a Jaffa cake. Oh, we've run out of Jaffa cakes. Ah.
We've got a beer if you want.
Yeah.
No,
I don't think we've run out of the snacks. We've only. Yeah. If you'd have got here earlier, we had Jaffa cakes, we had crepes. We've got these. We've got that. That's all we've got left. You can have it. Yeah. Come in. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, come in. Yeah, come and get.
Okay. Nice to meet you, Jay.
Yeah, come on, give you a round of applause.
Okay. All right.
All right, take care. Okay.
Reality knocks on the door.
Yes. Okay, Sonny, have you got something to say? Sorry, I feel like I've been ignoring you a little bit there because I've got this side. We're saying so much.
Yeah, it's all right. I just inspired by the gentleman say art. Of course, art is a universal language, and I just get the idea exercise, meditation. So everybody, focus on well-being. So and then I was used to do a group exercise in Mylan Park, and two men came to me, said, "Do you want to share your stories?" One is a photographer, one is a community project manager. They show me the business card. I said, "Why not?" Yeah. So and then he said, "I'm so amazed by you. This big group with 60 people, 70 people in Mylan Park near the Nando's, and then they around the fountain. Yeah, and once a month. Yeah.
And then you organise this.
Yeah, I'm part of it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I said, I want to share my story, because if you ask me a story, I just puzzled. I said, where I can talk about, But he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Okay, I got it." Yeah. I just talk about, and then they take my picture and put in the, I think they have what's that? Community center near the Victoria Park.
Right.
Yeah, and then my class just in the Victoria Park, and just opposite, and they have a showcase and to invite me. My picture there, many pictures,
Was it helpful for your group? Did they enjoy that, being part of that story?
Of course, this we want to tell stories of what I improve, what I have a good friend, or have some anything, good job, relationship. So we want to talk, but know the platform, like this gentleman said. Yeah.
I mean, do you think you could do that over here in Aberfeldy? Get people to do their
and why not? I think yes. The people, in China we have 100 million people practice. We have hundreds, thousands cases. Very touching. They improve themselves. They getting better from the whatever mental issues, physical issues. They have much improve. So and then we just want to share. Sometimes we can't have a platform or where to share. Because Chinese, we have lack of English skills. And we are very insulated.
So
that's
actually,
why.
this is very important to get this out there.
Exactly.
to the wider
Yes.
community.
Thank you so much.
That's why we're going to hit you with a round of applause.
But it's been nice to meet you all, and if ever you want to come to the Literary Lounge for some posh drinks, just tell Margot and Mikey, and we should. No, I don't, because I don't work there. But don't worry, I can definitely get you all in there.
Should we do the Talkaoke in the Literary Lounge?
Yeah. You don't have to dress up. No, it's nice. I'll give you the next date. It's April. I haven't got the date. I think it might be 16th. I'll double check. But anyway, nice to see you all. Thanks so much.
Is that your final thought, Julie? Have you got any other final thought?
Art. It's the great unifier. That's the only thing I've got to say. All right.
That's a good one. Thank you. Well, here, let's have a round of applause. And we're all invited to the Literary Lounge. The Literary Lounge. So I think we should all go. We should get a minibus there.
I would like to see a Literary Lounge, the Aberfeldy edition, Julie. Your flat is not big enough for Talkaoke, or is it?
Can we do a literary?
Okay, well, you're on. Okay.
Okay, we'll come to you then.
Okay. But we could, to be honest, we could do like a little tour of events, because I know, because you're over in Republic, your flat is just down there. Our studio is on the street. We are here today. Anyone is welcome to offer up their flat if they, or park. We can, because it's going to be summertime. But yeah, I think some kind of What?
What's that?
Over by the local park near me, on the Isle of Dogs.
Was it McDonald Park?
John McDougall's.
Yeah. Okay. Where are we going to take this? Go on.
No, because we're coming to an end, because this event kind of, we're not too strict on time, but kind of 8-ish, we're going to be ending, and it's 9 to 8 now. But I just wondered, just as a kind of last shout out, because you guys, you may not know this, but we are launching a project called the Aberfeldy Stories. And it's all about just doing some workshops, working with people one-on-one. If anybody's got a story or a point of view they want to kind of share, or just work in a different style, like write a book, or like write a story, or write, or do a podcast, or make a performance, or record a song, or whatever it is. We're just going to put on a bunch of workshops, and we're going to take it from there. So with that in mind, I just want to hear from everybody, what kind of story would you like to tell? Because I know we kind of meandered around different...
We talked about actual factual stories, we talked about historical stories.
But also like opinions as well.
Fantastical stories, we talked about community stories. I think this is a great story about the meditation. Is it Qigong as well that you're doing?
But also
something we didn't know about. And also we heard the story about what's going on in Romania.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's so many different types of stories, now stories, then stories, fantasy stories.
So
we just need them all.
Yeah,
we're
so everybody tell me what kind of story you're thinking. You don't have to be like committed to it, but if you were to do something about this story.
Give us something.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily a story, but something I'm currently looking into is to learn more about money, investments, everything about money, because I feel like great, because I feel like if we know how money works, then it would be easier for us to make it, and that's what the wealthy kind of tells us. And I just want to test that theory. If we learn more about that, would we actually be able to increase our wealth?
Be able to take over.
Not become millionaires or whatever, maybe, but
at least more comfortable.
Exactly.
Okay. So more money. Yeah.
So, for example, if you were to make a story, would you be? Could it be something like you go and talk to people who have made money or have got financial advice, or would it be about how to print it, workshop in printing money. Like, how would you like to tell it?
Pursue that.
Yeah.
How would you find that? I mean, that's a good one. Yeah. Oh, hang on, let me just bring Brian.
Well, it'd be about creating a sense of understanding, isn't it? Really, yeah, because it is deliberately kept. Knowledge, is out of our hands on purpose for good reason. So it keeps the people rich in that way. What I would love to see with regards to the story is some kind of workshop where you could choose a theme and then, like the old days of writing down something, folding it over and handing it to someone else, you could have it something like James Joyce's Ulysses, where every single chapter is written in a different style in that way. And of course that would be a collaboration.
Okay, so
with
you'd like
people.
to say maybe
Choose your own adventure, but as a collaboration within people in that way.
Yeah, and it's something actually we've kind of played with a little bit in the past. Joel, do you want to just say?
So, for the printing, I just suggest of watching Money Heist, Casa de Papel, if you know the TV series. If you don't know it, then go watch it. It's brilliant. Yeah, exactly. They're basically showing you how to print money. Not really, but I mean, they're...
Who would you ask if you were going to find out about money? Who would you ask?
There's Gareth's Economics at the moment, which has really taken off. Everyone's finding out about him. He was on the Bar Media about 3 years ago and was telling his story, and since he's obviously published the book and gained millions of viewers as well, and that's taken off. That's good. Simon Squibb is also someone that is... Simon Squibb. He's, again, multimillionaire, very successful businessman over the last 25 years. Started by, after he got kicked out by his mum at the age of 15, went and lived in a garden shed and then started up a gardening business and then built up to multi-billion pounds.
Okay.
And he is, again, he says, I'm sorted for money, and now he just wants to divulge all the information he can in order for other people to inspire them in that way. I think information-wise, more than ever at the moment, I wouldn't really go down the Bitcoin route, really, because a lot of people think that's nonsense. It really is a con, but the information is out there.
All right, well, I still want to ask Simona, who would you ask?
I guess I would just look for CEOs, people who've created successful businesses, and go interview them.
Okay.
That's great.
Maybe, as we said, we heard earlier on, we're just, okay, we're gonna set up some interviews, and you're gonna do it, Simona, if you want to. Otherwise, we'll do it. Yeah.
Why not? My experience of working in Brixton, when they had the alternative currency there, and I'm not talking about Bitcoins, it was called bricks. It's called bricks. And what it was, there was, if you were a painter and decorator and you did a job for somebody, you would be paid in bricks. And that meant that you went on, so if somebody was a piano player, you could pay them in the bricks that you'd earned from being a painter and decorator. They also had a food bank there where you could buy fresh food that was grown in the area, because I used to run the Brockwell Park greenhouses. Green Adventure it's called, but this currency was obviously unofficial. It didn't have any value of itself, but it enabled you to get in touch with people like plumbers, if there were plumbers in the area, and then they could then spend that money on people that were piano players or artists or yoga or anything like that. So there was that kind of currency that went between people, and it weren't any kind of official thing. The trouble with it is that if you're a plumber, people need you more or perceived need you more than if you're an artist. So you would get people that were brick millionaires. Well,
what's your story going to be? That's what we'd like to know.
What's my story going to be? I really don't know. I'm interested in the community and the resilience of the community. That's what worries me.
So maybe it'll be not necessarily your story, but hearing other stories about resilience.
Yeah, I'm interested in the diversity of the area, as in wealth. I think that I don't think that there's a lot of people here that work in the city, and they go at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they come home about 9 o'clock at night, and they're perceived to be wealthy, but they're working their off. You know, and I think there's a story there, exactly. And I think that in its own way is a kind of oppressive, in that they don't have the life to do that.
There's some people that work in the city, have flats or stay or rent rooms in London, and then at the weekend they go back to their country house.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of them. I think that young professionals, sometimes some companies will rent flats for their people to go to, but I believe that there's lots of people that work in the city that are being just as exploited as anybody that works on the bins or something like that.
Okay. All right. Yes, we are also looking for stories. We've heard from Simona. Have you got a story, or is it more about the money thing?
It's more about the money thing, to be honest. I just think that there's, making money is one thing, and there's only, I think there's a finite amount of it. I know people print it and all of this stuff, but ultimately there are only so many resources you can buy. Whether it's property or it's gold or it's whatever it is. And you can sit on that. But this idea that everybody can become an entrepreneur, this is the whole YouTube thing, there's all these podcasts and whatever. Oh, I did it, so everybody can do it. No, they can't. There's going to be so many people that are wealthy, and there's going to be so many people that are poor. There's going to be a shit ton more poor people, because if there weren't, there wouldn't be any wealthy people. Okay. And it's really that simple.
Do you need poor people to have rich people?
Yes.
Okay.
You do. You have to. There's no other way around it.
I'm really calling for a story. I'm going to give you a story. Lay it all bare, right? I'll do it as quickly as I can. Do you want to go first?
No, Brian, you're on the flow.
All right. So 11 years ago, I lived in a flat over in Upper Clapton, Hackney, and I had these awful neighbours. I did everything I could to try and get them thrown out, all kinds of things that I won't divulge here, but also officially and then unofficially. And then one morning, I heard this all kinds of happenings downstairs in the garden. I saw this little 10-week-old pit bull playing tug-of-war with a 3-year-old child with a nappy, and then the nappy exploded. And I thought, can't believe it took them this long to get a pit bull, because they were just the most horrendous people. However, over the next couple of weeks, finally they start leaving, but they actually left the pit bull just to starve and die in their flat in that way. So I kicked the door in and then took on this pit bull, and then had my best friend and the most incredible pet for the next 10 years. And the lesson from this is that you just got not really your place to interfere with circumstances that are coming at you in life. And next time I cast a judgment or think it's in my control to interfere in the universe's circumstances, I have a good think about it, because if I had got them kicked out and if I had done the things what it took to get rid of them and such, I would have missed out on one of the great things that ever happened to my life.
Okay. And what was this little dog's name?
Mavis.
Mavis. Oh, that's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story, and maybe it's something we can, turn into something. Yeah, it's a beautiful. Okay. Mavis, I would guess. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. All right. So where are we going to go with this? Anyone else got any stories? Margot?
No, but I just wonder. So there's the money. The plumbers getting paid more, or they perceived to be more needed than artists. And you were telling the story about the artists doing some kind of impression. I mean, could we be doing something about the art? Could we be doing something subversive rather than, could we be disrupting this whole thing? Or the guys who kind of work 24 hours or whatever, they're exploited. Could there be a project? Could there be something, some kind of social creative intervention? We chase after these guys, we tell them to stop. I don't know, I'm just thinking, what can we do with it that is fun, that's exciting, that's new, rather than, these people are like that, I'm just curious. Can we do something creative? Because I'll be chasing behind them.
Where do you stand on the 24-hour Macbeth? Is that a nuisance, or is that? And can we stop these people from doing it, or? Are they still doing it? Or is it
If they involve cute pets, that's okay for me.
Yeah.
Maybe we should throw a piano on the people that are doing the 24-hour reenactment with Beth.
Yeah.
For so many reasons.
Anyway, I don't know where we're going with it. Go on.
Okay, this is kind of a story.
Yeah.
I'm not local, but I can
Yeah.
give you a story. It's kind of similar to yours.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think the kind of the moral or the story,
Yeah.
the point of the story is the universe kind of sorts things out.
Okay, so it's
You know, I
once
had a
again,
similar
it's
neighbour
the
that was
universe replies.
yeah, I had a similar neighbour that was just kind of
Yeah.
a pain in the arse, and for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he created a situation where he ended up in prison, and then again in prison, and then again in prison, and eventually lost the flat that he was living in. And now I bought it, and I've got nice tenants. But it's essentially
Yeah.
There's always that you can wait things out. Things do work out, hopefully.
And so what are you saying, that this kind of annoying neighbour almost self-destructed themselves?
Eventually, you just don't have to work on it that much. You don't have to be proactive in your kind of hatred for somebody. Don't do anything. Just wait, because the universe will sort it out.
Right.
You know, and it's the same with all sorts of things, you know, relationships or whatever. You just, eventually, it just sorts itself out.
Okay.
You don't
Let's
have,
let the
don't have
universe
to
sort it
work.
out. Yeah.
World wars that we're
Yeah.
talking about today.
Yeah. Yeah, go
Well,
on.
just briefly, I was just thinking about it earlier, but I don't know really.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's more about local community, about what kind of shops were here before, you know, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, and what kind of, I don't know, community of people lived here and why they moved out. You know, did they move out because they had to, or did they move out because they made all this money and became richer and went to another decent home? I'm just interested in that kind of history line.
Okay, so it's almost like following the people,
Following
the
the-
people that used to live here.
Yeah, and just find out, you know, where they,
Yeah.
you know, and why, you know, obviously the areas, this area is still the same as it was, but, you know, there's lots of bigger houses, bigger shops, bigger, just, you know, and how it's kept,
so
how
what-
it's kept the same, really. You know, this
So,
little bit area.
so the area is the same, the people are different.
I think, isn't it the dream of the East Londoner to move to Essex? I think, like I heard a lot of people that, they just want to go out there and
Move to Essex,
have a
yeah.
slightly bigger house.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in the community anymore because it was run down and the government wasn't looking after it, and
Yeah.
you know, there was more and more violence then, even more than there is now, and I think people just had enough and just said, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah. So,
I mean, my cousin was one of them, yeah.
okay. Yeah.
It used to be a badge of honour that, you meet a lot of old people that have lived around here all like, oh yeah, my kids have moved out to Essex and they've got a really nice place out there, and it's a really lovely place, So it almost was a kind of the exodus.
Yeah.
And then suddenly...
But it was like the next level as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The council would say, well, pay you to move out, you know.
Ball rolling there, didn't she?
Okay. Yeah. Well, what were you going to say, Ian? Was that it? Just that it was that it was almost it was a badge of honour. Okay. Stories. I think we're going to close this down soon, so we need to get some final stories. Hold off with the applause because I'm not finished with the stories. Gabby, you've not said anything yet. Have you got any stories? Anything you want to hear?
At the moment, no, I don't have any stories. I'm,
Are there any stories you'd like to hear about this area that you would like to know about?
the thing is, I'm not a local, so I don't know too much about this area, so I don't know what to say at the moment.
What's your first impression?
My first impression, I like the graffiti, I like this area here, the main street here.
Yeah.
And I like the tall buildings that you can see at the far end. And I don't know too many things about this area. I just
Where do you live?
I live in Bromley. I live in Bromley, and I visit my girlfriend. She is local.
Yeah.
And Simona, the only one.
Yeah.
And I don't have too much to say about this area.
But
Yeah, I do feel safe. I'm all right. I visit this area quite often, and I didn't see any
You look forward
danger.
to come here?
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I enjoy.
Yeah.
So he says that he likes the tall buildings, right? The ones that you can see from Canary Wharf, that's what he means. But whenever he looks at those buildings, he says that this area kind of looks like seems like a ghetto comparing to that area.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to get some final thoughts. It doesn't have to be about a story. I feel like we've...
A story from you. What about you? Are you not going to think of a story?
My job in the middle as a facilitator is to make it happen. So I think there's a lot we can make happen. I want to see the Qigong in Aberfeldy Square. I want to see us making our own film, maybe using this exquisite corpse method of folding it over and so that everyone has a exquisite corpse. It's just like it's a surrealist technique. What's that?
We'll see another Tevic festival, Mikey. So if you can make that happen, you know.
Okay. So guys, hear me out. So the idea is that we will start with workshops maybe in April, and then a chunkier ones throughout the summer. But the plan is then to do a big blowout event in September. So maybe we could do that.
Yeah.
On the green or whatever. We were thinking about maybe doing it in, there's a reason why, but we were thinking about maybe talking to the church, and the reason for that is because next year it will have been 50 years since Iron Maiden, the band, played their very first gig in that church. Right? Yeah, it was just there. So we were thinking, maybe we could do something around music, creating an anthem for the area, whatever, just to kind of play with this idea. Because there's a bit of a local history. But anyway, the plan is to have a massive event, maybe a one-day festival, or a massive event in tribute to maybe Teviot Estate. So submission window is open. Your ideas are welcome.
Yeah, we're all
Kim is organising it.
We're all in. Yeah.
I can reveal that the local vicar, Matt, is a big fan of Iron Maiden. And there was talk at one point of having a mural on the side of the church, of Iron Maiden. Obviously, I'm not sure if the diocese were very up for that. But yet the idea of having a Teviot festival would be absolutely brilliant. I'm actually going to church on Sunday, because it's Mothering Sunday. You go back to your mother church. And if you want, I will kind of casually talk about it might be a good idea. But yeah, and one of the things, I didn't have time, but I started playing the ukulele, and I write songs, and I wanted to play a kind of comical song about the area on the ukulele. So, because it's kind of a comic instrument in a way, and but it's about the tune and about the lyrics as well. So, God blimey, yes. Would you have done me of it, eh? I'd pop down the Frog and Toad and have a butcher's at that, yeah.
Okay. Okay, right. Well, that's certainly you're definitely part of the lineup now for this. Let's get some. I feel like we can get. I think we've done a journey today. Let's get some final thoughts. Anyone got any final thoughts? Anyone want to kick off? Any final thoughts, Sunny?
If you have a festival, Aberfeldy festival, I can invite my group, and we have a dragon dance and drumming dance.
Oh, amazing!
So they are very good. We've been to lot of parade and festival, carnivals, lot. Yeah, they are very good. So make the community colorful.
Yeah.
And vibrate as well. Yeah.
Amazing. So we're definitely We're booking it. We're booking right now. Okay. So that's the final. Justin, have you got any final thoughts? You don't have to contribute anything to the festival.
Kim, you don't seem to know ChatGPT. When you go home, ask her a question. You'll be amazed at the answer.
Okay. Well, you don't seem to have asked her. Ask her. It's okay. Just ask your son or daughter to show you.
Ask a question about how to restart the Teviot Festival.
Yeah. Ask her that. Yeah.
How to restart the Teviot Festival. That's a challenge. You've been picked out. Sorry, Kim. Okay, Brian, have you got a final thought?
Only thank you very much for putting this on. It's been hugely enjoyable. And if you need any help with the workshops or any documentation of anything, do feel free to ask.
That's
I'm always...
Yeah.
Brian does make video, but he doesn't live in Tower Hamlets, so...
Where do you live?
Kind of Stratford.
Out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Are you free on Tuesday? It's a heavy pencil, but it's a pencil.
Can be free Tuesday.
Okay.
What day is it today?
It's Thursday today. Okay. We've never had a final thought session where we've done so much business in a very short space of time. Yeah. Okay. Simona.
Is it about the festival?
About anything you wanted to.
Anything.
This is your final thought.
So I guess besides money, I would like maybe to have discussions around mental health, because that's a big thing, especially in the UK.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the weather or whatever, but it's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's part of it, definitely part of it.
We were talking about mental health before you arrived, and people were saying the same thing, but actually from a male perspective, we were talking about mental health.
It's good to emphasize the importance of mental health.
Definitely, yeah.
I was wondering, with mental health, I mean, is there a particular angle that we should be looking at, or, because you said there was like an idea for particularly mental health for men or in men, but do you have an idea of how would you kind of start? Like, is there an angle for the mental health?
How would you address mental health? What would be?
I guess through advice from my own experience, but with mental health is such a complex thing, because you can think of relationships, you can think about jobs, you can think, there are so many areas, like mental health impacts every single aspect of our lives. But maybe I can give some advice, because I'm currently doing therapy and I've healed. I've done my good share of healing.
That out to other people.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay,
maybe.
that's really yeah.
Sorry, just a little point. That's really amazing. And combining two ideas together, could we do like a Exquisite Corpses mental health tales, like where say I listen to your story, maybe that kind of sparks an idea in my one, and then somebody else picks up. Like I don't know. I just think.
Okay, maybe. I think we're producing ideas here. Ian, you wanted to say something?
I'm a member of a men's group, and I attended a men's group when I saw a poster that asked us, "Are you barking?" And I thought, well, yeah, I'm pretty mad, so I went on. It's a joke, by the way. But yeah, the idea of having a the idea of having a festival is a really, really good idea, and it brings into play things like having a booth for people to go in and just have 2 minutes to talk about what's important to them or something, that kind of thing. As my last thought, I am actually involved in preparations for the next war.
Yeah.
I am, because in the event of war, I am actually a hostage.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Any advice?
Yeah. How to be have you done your hostage training? That's my question. Right.
First aid in your pit will make you be all right.
Okay. Gabby, have you got any final thoughts?
My final thought is just enjoy life, drink as much as you want, and
Good.
just enjoy life. Enjoy life. Don't worry too much.
What's your tip for enjoying life? Have you got any tips?
Yes, of course. No,
Find
so
a wonderful girlfriend.
sleep well, eat well, and go to gym. This is three tips of advice. Eat well, go to gym. And
so sleep, eat, train.
Yeah, that's it. I don't do the third one, but I'm in progress. I'm in progress.
Yeah, well, you've done two, so that's good progress.
Yeah, I'm halfway there.
Yeah, exactly. 2/3 of the way there. Okay. Have you got a final thought for us? Was that your final thought before
that was
the hostage?
my final thought.
Yeah. Okay.
No, sorry, I don't have a nice thought. My head is full of thoughts for how we can tell our stories. like the practical. Like I used to make fanzines, right, back in the day, little magazines, pre-internet, and then they'd have drawings in, and then I would also like go out with my friends on our bikes, and we would like get wallpaper paste, and we'd like print out on the community centre photocopier posters for the magazine, and we'd like just fly post them everywhere, and it was the best feeling ever to just, you know, we never got arrested or anything. I don't know if you would though. Do it in the middle of the night. We did it in the 90s, middle of the night, bike, wallpaper paste, couple of girls, never got caught. It was so much fun. So I think we could do that with our stories, our exquisite corpses. We like just go out in the night and paste them around Aberfeldy. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, okay. And will we get caught? Well, they never found bill posters, did they? Yeah. Final thoughts?
Well, it's good to be friends with Mikey and Margot from the first day when I met them both in the local park where I live. I was just doing a normal event or summer thing in the park, and I walked along and thought, oh, this looks interesting. Let me go and see what it was all about. And I just come round and I thought, and they said to me, come down to the Aberfeldy. I've been working with them every time I come down here, do the events with them, and every time I've not looked back.
Okay.
And we're going to play. Matter of fact, I'm going to come up with. I've already spoke to Margot just now about my story from day one, so we're going to work on that.
Wow, amazing. Okay. So, we're going to make it happen. Yeah. Okay. Well done. Yeah. Okay.
Not really a story or anything, but my final thought is, I heard the other day that when you're talking to ChatGPT or any of these AIs, if you talk to them with your voice or ask them a question, it uses 10 times as much energy as if you type in your question. Wow. Okay. So 10 times as much CO2 or whatever.
Wow, okay.
It's quite interesting.
Okay, thank you.
Last but not least, well, just that I've been really inspired by everybody being here and listening to all your stories and everything, and yeah, it's nice to be in the group.
And we know you're organising the new festival. Have you given a final thought?
I haven't given a final thought, but I've made a bunch of notes. I'll be going back to people and asking them to, But also, do leave your details as well if you want to somewhat get involved or whatever, or just come along to the next event if you want. But it will be really nice because there's like a whole variety of things. We've got art-related stuff. We've got nighttime action. Well, it sounds wrong when I said it.
Guerrilla.
No, guerrilla. Yeah, at night. Sorry, so you know what I mean. We're open to all, but and then we've got the podcast, we've got the stories, we've got the physical activity, and maybe, and a lot about mental health, which is coming up all the time. So I think we've got the material. So, and also what we enjoy doing is we enjoy gathering ideas, and if people have got more ideas, then we will program workshops according to that. So if you say, I wouldn't mind just learning about stand-up or whatever, which is what we did back in the day when you suggested, and right.
Your advice about if you're going to make a speech or owning the area that you're making it from and being confident, I use it every day.
Yeah.
So the end. Thank you, and let's make it happen.
Watch this space.
For Mikey and Margot's winners.